You guys, this has been a nightmare. This has been a nightmare. Okay, this is really dark right now, so I'm going to move it back. I had everything set up. I do live in an apartment complex, and someone came and knocked on my door at 7:05 when I actually had already started. Sorry for moving everything, you guys. I'm really sorry. But so somebody knocked on the door, and of course the dog went nuts out. So I had to start all over again, and it's taking a while to getting started. So forgive me. I know I can edit this. I'm hoping I'm going to learn how to edit. Woo. Anyway, okay, so welcome to my delayed chat. It's 13 minutes delayed now. Well, it wasn't actually, I was early. I was actually on time. But then, like I said, my neighbor, she sewed something for me, and she's an older lady, and she stopped by to bring it to me, and I feel kind of bad because I was like, I'm busy right now. I can't talk right now. Anyway, so welcome. Welcome. I'm going to ask you guys to hit the subscribe button. Also, I'm hoping that you would like this video or that you'd like the live or the replay, and write a comment. I love the comments. I love your thoughts. I love your opinions. And I will try to answer every one of them. If you would like to book a session with me, or if you wanted to do like a party, like a psychic party at your house, a workshop, for your company or, business, or a family healing group. And I also do work with animals. So if you like to schedule something with me, please send an email to janiedaly@gmail.com. And, or, you can send me something here through YouTube. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. But yeah, that's a lot. So it's either, my Gmail or Facebook is good. So I'm hoping like everybody can find me because people started to come in on the last live and I had to cut it off because it was like a war zone here. Okay, so I am going to start. I'm going to start getting ready to move ahead. I'm also going to ask those of you when you come in, for permission to have your angels around you, to have your loved ones around you, and healing will be performed as you are watching this. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then I would recommend not finishing, but it's nice. It is nice. And I will tell you, I work for God. God is my boss. Jesus is my manager, and Archangel Michael is the head of security. I really don't, it's a small little company, so to speak, but we have a lot of, like with your deceased loved ones and with your own angels and guides, there's so many. And it's a nice world. I'm like saying, welcome to my world, but you're going to see we have a lot of similarities. And the people actually that come to me, the people that come to me are light workers. Okay. A light worker is someone who has contracted to come here and help as many people as possible. So, and I know like everybody likes to help everybody. Well, not really. That's not even true. Because I met people that are like, I just want to deal with my family, and that's good enough for me, which is fine. But anyway, the light workers are the people who have come here to help as many people as possible. And a long time ago, I was told that I was like to herd the sheep. I was, yeah. She told me I was a sheepdog, and I was like, thanks, I think. But anyway, and I'm honored to do that. Actually, I'm very honored because I've met so many wonderful people. Of course, I have angel cards, but I am not a professional tarot reader. I don't even own any tarot cards, and I think they're fascinating as can be, but I don't know how to read them. And I feel that that's for a reason, because when I first started doing this work, I went to Barnes and Noble, and they had like the Weight Rider Tarot and a book, and they were both on sale, right? So I was like, oh, I'm going to try it. And I heard no. So you guys, I'm by myself. physically by myself in Barnes and Noble. And it was like towards the front of the store. So I was like, oh, come on, please. And people are looking, I'm like, it's on sale, right? And people are looking at me like, who are you talking to? Well, anyway, and I didn't get them. And I didn't get them because there's a lot of people who don't really favorably believe in them. So I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable. And anyway, and then so I find the light workers come to me, and the light workers, you guys, we have hard lives. Our lives are really, really hard. I mean, we are here. This is school. So, like the day that you never want to know it all. Well, it depends how you look at it. I always tell the kids too, when you know it all, then there's two things. You actually know nothing, or you just don't want to know anymore. But this is school. So what happens when you finish school? You graduate, you go home. So if you want to live like many, many years, be open to learning. I mean, going home's not a bad thing, but you know what I'm saying. You want to. I find like I was a late in life nurse, and I don't know, I just love learning new things. And I feel like most of us like that. But anyway, so the people then who normally don't come to me, they just like to, have their cards done, and then they have their 5-year plans, and they're pretty situated. Um, and trust me, both groups are wonderful people. So I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything negative about it. It's just that different people seek my services. And people that want to make changes, people that feel lost. You guys, like years ago, 30 years ago, I had a great job. I was married. We had a nice home. We had all the kids. And I made really good money. But I was not happy. I remember like sitting in my closet because I had a nice size closet. I remember sitting in my closet crying because I'm like, and I said, dear God, please help me. I am miserable. I feel like you want me to do something, but I don't know what it is you want me to do. So please tell me, or take me home. So I did write a book, but the publisher did not edit the book. So I was really embarrassed about it and figured that I would come back and rewrite it. Because it was called Please God, Just Take Me Home. I was not trying to, as they say on YouTube, unalive myself, but it's just that feeling. It's that feeling where you know that you have things that you have to do, but you don't know what it is. And you don't feel joy. You don't feel settled despite everything, but, and it's so important to follow that and listen, pay attention, listen, follow what you enjoy. Like don't numb yourself and all that. That's a whole nother show. But, let me tell you though, when I decided to get into this work, which was, completely by accident, I was listening to like During Virtue and John Edwards, because I started like back in those days, right? And they would all say, you have to meditate. So you need to go to your quiet spot, be zen and quiet. I am a true ADHD person. I can't quiet my mind. I couldn't then. Now I can. Well, pretty much I can now. But I couldn't quiet my mind. And so I thought, okay, I mean, if that's what they're telling me, that's how I'm going to do. That's how I'm going to sharpen my psychic ability. Well, then let me do it. And good luck when you have 6 kids in the house, with the youngest was 4 and the oldest was like 25. So there was no peace and quiet in that house. So the only way that I could really learn was to have the noise around me. But let's face it, you guys, come on. I mean, because one of the readers, well, Doreen actually, during Virtue was saying that, she goes out on the beach where it's quiet, where she can meditate. But it's like, that's not realistic. I mean, it's nice, but it's not realistic. Life is always going at 1,000 miles an hour. And as soon as you sit down, you guys know this, as soon as you sit down, like to eat, even the kids need something, or the phone rings, or somebody's at the door. It's always something that comes around to take your attention. So it's a busy world. So you want to listen and hear God messages? You can do it. You just don't think you can, but it is a busy world. So I want to see this. I believe. Okay. And if you have questions, you can go ahead and type it on the chat. All right. So that was one of the things that I wanted to, I should tell you about myself. I'm kind of late to the party with this. Because like I said, I sat down, I was on time. I actually started a couple minutes early. And then, my neighbor came to the door and the dog went bananas. So I had to start all over again. But I should say, introduce myself to, and if I look away, I do that in my sessions. Because I'm hearing, I'm listening, because I do have guidance. I was like, okay, Jesus, tell me what to say. You know what I mean? I can hear you. I'm listening. So it's not that I'm trying to be rude. But as I said, I am a nurse. I do have a college degree. I need to be recertified if I want to, but I'm a master hypnotherapist. And the thing with that, I used to fall asleep. It's really hard to sit there monotone and just to keep repeating things over and over. And next thing you know, it's like, if that person's not out, I'm going to be out. But I got to tell you this, though. Not a big fan of the Ozempic, but I am a big fan of hypnosis. Because with hypnosis, the best hypnosis, and this is how I got over my fear of public speaking, was I got a hypnosis CD back in the day and put it on, listened to it at night. And Louise Hay's stuff was really good too, because she'd have one side where she would have all words, and then the other side was subliminal messages with some nice music. And I did experiment on my youngest with the self-esteem. It worked. It really worked. But anyway, but it's nice because you go to sleep, you are completely relaxed, but your subconscious is wide awake and it's taking everything in. That's why back in the day, on the old days with the TV channels, like if you go to sleep, they would have commercials over and over and over and over, like all night long. They would run it over and over because they know you fell asleep with the TV on and you are basically being programmed. So I always do, I'm like the mad scientist. I always check out everything. And sure enough, there was one night, it was, oh my gosh, T-Mobile. T-Mobile. And so I recorded. So I could see, so I could check this out. So anyway, I go ahead, I record it, and I fall asleep. And the next day, I don't know, somebody started talking to me about phone services. And I was like, oh, what about that T-Mobile? And I wanted T-Mobile. I really wanted it. And come to find out, I checked, and that's exactly what I was listening to all night long. So that is hypnosis, because the subconscious, you're wide awake. So that part it's just amazing. But oh my gosh, you guys, like so much stuff. There's like so much stuff to talk about. And I'm so disappointed because everybody was ready for my live last night, but I had no sound, and I'm really hoping there is sound right now. Um, for those in here, is there sound? Please tell me there is. I'm hoping so. Okay. Um, but there's a couple things. Um, you have heard, I should say too, I'm just going to go and get into this now because this was something that was just brought to my attention. So, um, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I might as well keep it live. I just feel like people don't know. They think that I'm not doing this. And this is bad lighting in the whole bed. Um, gosh, and I wanted to take some questions because people said they had some really good questions. But I will just go on with something I was going to bring up last night. And that is, so I just found out on Hulu that Chandra Levy case was on. And for those of you that are familiar with it, I'm going to tell you a story. And, the stuff that happens, it's unbelievable. And that's something else too, you guys. When you keep having like experiences, people are saying things, doing things, and you're like scratching your head like, really? Really? Really, God? I can tell you it's divine intervention. So that means it's happening for a reason, and it's a very good reason. So don't get upset, be patient, and go with the flow. So, I started this work, and I was in my office because I had my home office first, and then I actually started working out of the Holistic Healing Center that was up in Bel Air, Maryland. I had gotten an office there, but I was at my home office when my phone rings, and I had started my business, which I had named Wings of Protection Unlimited. So I get a phone call, and I answer, and the woman on there asked me if Susan Levy was here, was at my place. And I said, no, Susan Levy? And she said, yeah, Chandra Levy's mom. And I said, no, I'm sorry, you have the wrong place. She wouldn't be here. And she says, oh, because her business is Wings of Protection. I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, so what number are you trying to call? Because I can call and find out. And she had the number off. I know you have the right number, so go ahead. But anyway, so I called her. I called Susan. And she had said that on the way to get the phone, I believe, that something fell out of her drawer that was good. That was Chandra's, her daughter. And now I should tell you to you guys, I like live under a rock. Like I don't watch the news, so I didn't know really what was going on. I just had heard my ex-husband had mentioned about Chandra being missing. So that's all about that I knew. But she said that something from Chandra's fell out of the drawer before she came to get my call. And she's like, oh my gosh, so I know that this is destined to be. I said, yes, yes. And, when I hung up, I was a little torn because this was not the direction I was looking to get into. I find that mine is more about helping people discover their sixth sense, discover their life path. A lot of things, like I created something, it's a resume, and it's basically of your life. And the worst things that have happened to you in your life are actually the pointers and the big arrows that are telling you what you should be doing career-wise. The worst things in your life. That's why the other thing, not to get sidetracked, but the other thing is in life, and like I said in the beginning, this is school. You're going to have so many bad things, right? You're not going to forget them. So don't worry about taking meds and this and that and just trying to numb everything. And really psychic people, we have very, 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 very addictive personalities. Very. And you guys, the first thing any person is going to do when they have a lot of pain, trauma, they try to numb their feelings. And they think that, the problems don't exist. Oh, you don't talk about it because, a lot of families, you don't talk about it. That means it doesn't exist. That's not true. So not true. As I always like tell the kids that I talk to, I'm like, look, you guys, you can go out and get the best tennis shoes possible. Back in the day, I think it was Yeezys or something. Anyway, and I said, it doesn't matter because you're going to run as fast as you can, but your problems right there next to you, right next to you, going the whole way. They're on the whole run with you. Finally, you got to stop. You turn, you face them and say, okay, let's deal with this now. That's my job, is to help you with that. And the other thing I do want to say, in the very beginning, I was talking about tarot card readers and versus what I do. And like I said, I do my angel cards. I love the angel cards. And I will try actually tonight to show you like how like they flip out, because they will just flip out from the deck. And I always do it before a session. And it's really interesting because the 5 cards will flip out. And it's always about what the person needs to be talking about. Always, always, never not at it. And there was some like, it's somebody that I may know. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. But I've learned to just do as I'm told. I'm not the one in charge. I just do as I'm told. I do my job. And it's always validated. It's amazing because you have angels that are watching over you. You have God who's watching over you. And you guys, I've always been close to God. Always. I was that little kid in church because our family was very Catholic, Irish Catholic. And I would like pull on my mom's dress and say to her, who's that man talking about, Mom? The God I know, he's not mean like that. So she started bringing me mallow cups to eat in church to keep me quiet. So, but, okay, anyway, so I'm sorry. I was thinking about something. I'm hoping that this isn't 2 lines that's going. Oh my gosh, I have not. Anyway, so to continue. So I've always had a close relationship to God. It's just, when like people start talking like that, you start like, and I'm very different. I feel like you can have your higher power or whomever you cherish. That's your business. And I would never tell you who to believe in. I will give you signs that you will see, guaranteed you will see, to prove that, you have angels, that God's watching over you. But the point that I'm making is when you come to see me, I am told questions, because that's what I'm saying. Like I look away because like even now, like I said, I hear, I'm being told what to say and comments. And I will hear questions to ask you. I ask questions, and I do so for this reason. By nature, most of us are stubborn. I mean, come on. Most of us are very stubborn. So even though I'm looking outside and I'm seeing that tree is green, you might say to me, well, I can tell the trees are green in your neighborhood. I'm looking at, no, not necessarily. Nope. No, not all the way. Because we don't always like to be told what to do. And if we could be argumentative, but that's okay. That's okay. But that's not even the whole reason. You know who you are, or do you? Because you're angels, God. They know that you are hiding something because it hurts. You're hurting. So my job is to ask you, because I don't want to embarrass you, but I'm to ask you. And it's your job to look within and speak. and it hurts. We talk about your deepest, darkest secrets. It hurts. So I am here as a representative, but God's always in our session. Angels are always in our sessions. So you're definitely not alone, but it's healing. You start healing. I do want to tell you this too. So the way that it works is when we do your session, at the end of the session, it's gone from my head. We hang up, it's gone. So when you are ready to do another session again, I don't have recall of what we spoke about last time. But what happens with that is I do get it back towards 3/4 of the way through, but I feel that happens because this way I'm getting new information about you. So it's nothing's tainted, but it also should offer you some comfort because we just talked about your deepest, darkest secrets. And God kind of took the brush and kind of wiped it out of my head. So you're not embarrassed. When I run into you on the street, you can be like, she doesn't remember everything anyway, or anything anyway. But also, if I did or could, I would never, never speak to anyone about your information. Never. I mean, because you guys, I do work with people, some people that are in the spotlight, so to speak, but you don't know who that is. Why? I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it. I would never, never. So, the one thing though that I have brought to the spotlight is going back to the situation. So when I started doing this professionally, really like tuning in and then deciding, yes, I'm going to leave my job, which was in the mortgage business, and I'm going to go ahead and do psychic work, psychic coaching, whatever. I did not expect to be a psychic detective. That just was not in my thing to do. But the runaround, you guys, it was so bad. It was so bad for this family. It was so bad. So I go to sleep that night after I talked to Susan Levy, and I saw everything that happened. I saw everything, right? But it's like, so what do you do? Okay. But I went ahead and I caught a friend of mine who, he drove me around that area because it was in DC, so that I was familiar. But let me tell you this first. So when Chandra Levy went to, she was an aide, an intern, what they're called, for Gary Condit's office. And there's a lot of aides, and a lot of them live like in the DC area. She was a pretty young woman. I believe she was going to get into the FBI. I'm not certain. I just know that she was an aide there, and she disappeared. And apparently, so there was one place that was searched, and it was the park around the house. Forgive me, I have like so many notes, but it was it was a big park that was over by where her condo was. They even brought cadaver dogs. Okay. Even brought cadaver dogs. They found nothing. And I even said to my friend, I said to him, why? Why aren't they checking anything else? Why just this park? And he said, I don't know. It makes no sense to me either. He goes, but obviously there's nothing there because the cadaver dogs didn't pick up anything. Okay. Well, and that's where it kind of, and then the next thing too, a couple of years after that, America's Most Wanted, Adam Walsh went ahead and did a segment on Chandra Levy's story. They did it in the same place, the same park. Okay. when you're setting up TV, it's a lot of people, equipment, but a lot of people. So, and they seem to do this in the area where bones were found like a year later. And I don't even think it was a year later, you guys. I don't even think it was a year later. It wasn't a year later, but still, nobody saw anything. So it's like, okay, all right. So yeah, this was in 2001, actually, looking at my notes. Okay, so Chandra kind of pulled me into it. So I was like, okay, all right. I want to help. I want to help everybody. And ever since I was little, I could speak to deceased people. And, so, and she obviously was upset. I'm not going to go into the whole thing right now, but I wanted to kind of get it started because if you have any information and could get in touch with me, that would be wonderful. Because I would like to kind of see if we could put this story to rest, so to speak. God bless her, because the man that they said did it, I know that he didn't. He didn't. I mean, he was a rapist. He's a creepy rapist, but he apparently is not a murderer. But they were anxious to get somebody just to get it solved. Without saying too much, and like I said, I'm going to do like different parts. Just want to give you guys an idea and also ask your opinion. Do you want to hear about this story? Because let me kind of show you like a little thing. So, where I know her body was taken was to a reservoir. And the reservoir's next to the dam. And it's really interesting because, first of all, for the reservoir, there's no police. It's park police. No police officers. But apparently, if you go, I think, to the left, if you go to the left, you're entering Montgomery County. If you're going to the right, to get out of where the reservoir and the dam is, you take a right on that main road. It takes you to Howard County. So if there was something found, which there was in the Triadelphia Reservoir, there's no police. So the things that I found when I went walking there with my two kids were lost. And I will tell you this, and I'm going to close on this. So I take my two kids to the reservoir and to the dam too. We're just walking around. So I tell my son was older and my oldest son was older, like around 10, no, probably at 12 or 13, I'm going to say. Old enough, right? Anyway, so we're going around and my youngest son was afraid of snakes. So I was like, oh, come on. Because when did we go? We went, it was August 14th. 2001. So he's like all worried about snakes. And I'm like, and I like snakes. So I'm like, well, you let me know if you see snakes, I'll pick it up. But come on, we gotta get rolling because we could get in trouble because we're walking through our reservoir. And like walking all around it. And my oldest son went ahead. When I hear Mom, and I grabbed the little one's hand, I said, yes. And then I see him and he like stomps his feet. He goes, this looks like a grave. So I said to him, I said, go ahead then and get the park ranger. Park ranger comes over. He agreed. Looks like a grave. You guys, guess what I found there? I found wire. They look like weed whacker wire, like that kind of wiring. I found duct tape. I found pieces of trash bag. Dark trash bag. Okay. So I identify myself because by then 2 other rangers were caught on. And the original guy who helped me was wonderful, but they basically pushed him out of the way. So these other two gentlemen, and I'm using that very loosely, um, they said, "Oh, so you're working for the Levys?" And I said, "No, they don't know me. They don't know me personally. And no, I'm not working for them. No, I just have an interest. I'm just curious." So, um, so I show them what I find, and they're like, "Well, that's nothing. This is a reservoir. You don't think that's kind of unusual?" And with this, it looks like a like freshly dug dirt. You don't think that's anything? Oh, we bury deer all the time. What? The cycle of life. But you bury deers. Really? Where do you get these deers? From the middle of the road? Yeah, the roadkill. Yeah. Anyway, so being Irish, yeah, that didn't go with me, but Anyway, so here's the kicker though. And I'm going to close up on this one. Oh, because trust me, there's more. This one was like one of the good ones. So they were going to call the lead detective. And so we walk out to where the parking lot is. I go towards the left. And I said, "Dear God, please, I am begging you. Please let me be accurate. If I'm not, tell me. Because I don't want the Levys to go through like this. They're already going through hell right now. And I don't want to put them through any more pain and sorrow. So please tell me, what should I do?" I heard clear as day, "Follow your vision." Okay. Thank you. Doing it now. Turn around. Now, I had seen in my vision where, because I stay continued because I know what happened. But one step at a time. This person that took Chandra in the car, he had killed her and decided and was going to dispose of her body there. Okay. So he carries everything over there, ties and everything, the plastic bags, because I feel like that's where he, put her in and did whatever. I'm sorry, no disrespect. Please know that. But I see him coming out of the area, and I see him like doing something with his hands. And I had known that he dropped something that had DNA and would break the case, solve it wide open, and that would be the end of it. And then the family could have peace, as can Chandra have peace. Well, I follow my vision. I go to where I see the car. Okay. I take a right. I walk over some. Now, you guys, this has been, I believe, a year. I believe a year later. I know I should have exacts, but everything in life comes full circle. And I feel now we're coming around to the end of this circle. And I pray that's the case for the Levys. Anyway, so I walk over where I see that he dropped something. I look down, son of a gun. There's something in the grass, like dug deep, like not dug, but from being stepped on, from snow, from weather. I see it, so I take my foot and I move over the grass and everything. It's a bloody rag. So I asked the one squirrel guy. I knew that wasn't nice. And actually, that's what I said to him because I was so aggravated with him because he thought it was a joke. The first guy, he made leave. The first guy was wonderful who came over and said, "Yeah, that looks like a grave." He made him leave. So he and his friend, yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing. That is the good thing about like social media, because you can't treat people like this. You know what I mean? Eventually, the truth always comes to light. Always. Some people are afraid, some people aren't. But anyway, get to the point. So I said to him, there you go. There you go. This, it's obvious. Look, it's, and he goes to try to pick it up. I said, no. I go, are you kidding me? I'm like, oh my gosh, if I was a squirrel, I wouldn't want you to solve like who stole my nuts out of my oak house. Come on, really? So I go, how do you explain that one? Not kidding. Not kidding. Well, after we buried the deer the road killed, we had to wash off our hands. That's not a paper towel, that's a rag. Well, yeah, we could use a rag. And I guess they just kind of dropped it by accident. I couldn't believe it. Again, scratching my head going, dear God, come on, this isn't even funny. If you're playing a joke on me right now, because it's a heartbreaking thing to be going through, because I could feel the young lady with me, but it's like unbelievable. And there's more. And I did try to make calls. Nobody would take my calls. I will tell you, actually, I was going to finish, but I'm going to go ahead then. I will tell you this. I let the family know. And supposedly, they were going to send the box with all the stuff that was found, including the rag, over to the lead investigator. So, I can be a real pain in the butt. If something is wrong and I know how to fix it, when you're right about, when you're right about something and it's so obvious, the signs are like right there. You'd have to be a complete moron to not see anything and to be like, what? I'm sorry. I get a little carried away. But you guys, that is, hi. I'm still like rambling on here. Okay, so probably 2 weeks later, I get this. I got to go all the way over there again. And you guys, it was a nice drive for me to go like all the way to, again, it was the Triadelphia Reservoir and Brighton Dam. I'm just going to say it. Yeah. So, and where all of this was found was at the Triadelphia Reservoir. What's interesting now, if you look it up, I should say too that my deceased relatives, my granddads and my father, lawyers, granddads, judges. So it's funny. I actually had gone to University of Baltimore. I was going to get my law degree years back, and even the professor said, "Where do you find these cases? Like, how are you able to find it?" And I go, "Well, my granddad does help me a lot." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he asked what he does. I go, "Oh yeah, he's retired now." I didn't tell him he was dead, but a little left out. But anyway, so, but if you look up back in the day, I haven't done it. I will do it now, tonight, actually. Who owns Triadelphia Reservoir? And I think they have it like as investors in it. But there's a name on there that everybody's going to know. Everybody will know who this name is. And I'll give you a hint. First name begins with a G. Yeah, he's actually one of the owners at Triadelphia. And this is a perfect place to commit a murder. Like I said, Triadelphia, Brighton Dam, you go to the shared parking lot to leave, you go to the right, and you're in Howard County. You make a left, you're in Montgomery County. So when I called to see who do I talk to about what's going on over here, nobody knew. Nobody knew. They told me I'd have to talk to the park police. Anyway, so you guys, I went back a couple weeks later and found that the box was still sitting there. They did nothing with that box with all the stuff in it, the bloody rag, the cord, the trash bag, the duct tape. It was all still sitting in the box. So I go, hey, why don't I just take it? And yeah, so it never got where it was supposed to go. They disposed of it. There's one more thing about that, though. So probably all of a sudden, there was rumbling. Oh, here we go. I know what it was. All of a sudden, there was rumblings that her body was found. Bones were found of hers in the same park, you guys, where, remember, cadaver dogs checked. The same park where America's Most Wanted did their broadcasts. So that's where her bones were found. And there was and I think it was like a lip chapstick. And it was all pretty much, if it's out in the weather, right? If it's out in the weather, it's not going to look like it's brand new. Now, if it has been tucked away in trash bags and buried deep down, yeah, because it hasn't been long enough for it to really deteriorate, but it's not exposed to the weather, to the elements, as it would if it was just laid out on the ground. But anyway, so I hear that and I'm like, nah, something's wrong here. So I get in my car, I drive back up to Triadelphia Reservoir. And I'm thinking, you know what? I need to really be careful. They're going to have my picture like nailed up on a tree. Like, you see her, shoot first, ask questions later. But I went in. You guys, I kid you not. I go back to the grave area. It had been dug up again because I actually spoke to somebody who, in the forestry, about what the ground. I actually even have the messages, and he said that because of the amount of time, it shouldn't have looked the way that it was looking. And because I sent pictures. Anyway, I go to the grave site. Guess what's on there? Now, Mr. Congressman had somebody who was another aide, and that aide wore silver framed glasses, thick. And he kind of disappeared. With all of this, that aide disappeared. And nobody knew where he went. So I go, and lo and behold, there's a pair of silver framed glasses with the thick. The first thing I thought of, the glasses that you used to be able to buy at Rite Aid, for those of you that are in my age group, the readers, and they do have them now everywhere. But yeah, those glasses sitting there on the grave, right on the grave. So apparently they were in his pocket. And then as he's digging and taking out her remains and stuff, he must have dropped his glasses. So I call Mrs. Levy. Got to tell you what I found. This should be everything. Well, she says, please send them to my lawyer. I asked her about the lawyer, and I was hoping that he would be somebody close to her, whatever, but he wasn't. And I said to her, I don't get a good feeling with this. I really don't get a good feeling. Can I just send them to you? I don't get a good feeling. And this poor lady had just been barraged. She was exhausted, and her husband, the two of them, with all the media coverage and all the questions and just everything. And especially, people say, oh no, with this kind of stuff, it's no different. Trust me when I tell you, this was a nightmare. Even as much as I didn't want to do it, but I did. I sent the glasses away to the attorney at the address in DC. And I didn't hear anything. So I called her. I said, did he get the glasses? And she said, yeah, the sunglasses. No, they weren't sunglasses. They were silver framed. And she's like, no, they were sunglasses. So the glasses disappeared too. So it's like major, major cover up. So I would love to hear your opinions if you guys remember the Chandra Levy case. What opened it all for me, I still have like everything. I still have like everything from when I was doing this case. And that's her picture. And like I said, the other day, and this is how my signs work. This is how they work. The other day, I had so much to do, but I felt like I needed to sit down and like watch something on TV. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. So I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm just watching and I see Hulu. Okay. And I had watched the Natalia story on Hulu 2 weeks ago, maybe. But so I go ahead and I turn it on, and there's Chandra Levy's. There's Chandra Levy's case. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that before. Oh, it's definitely a cover up. You're so right. Oh my gosh. And they make it so obvious, but they figure I'm just a psychic, a crazy psychic. When this isn't my thing. My thing is to help people. Anyway, but to get back to that. So yeah, it's about her. And you guys, I started shaking. I was like, did I get PTSD from that? Because I just like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I've never seen something so terrible in my life. Never. And, and I even, yeah, it was even getting like a little spiky for myself, actually. So, but no, I always feel God protects us. You know what I mean? Always. But anyway, so what I could say to Susan was, I will tell you this, that man doesn't get any peace. He gets no sleep at night. Because Chandra, she torments him. And, I'm going to like kind of go somewhere else with this, because this is like, since I did nursing and I did this work part-time, and now I'm here full-time. And you guys, I don't know if you're also familiar with like the Watts case, but yeah, these people that commit these murders and then they go to jail and they open a Bible and they're like, oh, I'm a born again Christian now. God forgives me. How do you know? How do you know? Because that's not true. It's not true. Here's how it can be true. When you hurt someone and you're not honest about what you did, then no, why should God forgive you? You are lying, and you are what you want to do for yourself. If that's your own issue, but your lies are hurting someone else. So in this case, with Condit, when he passes, no, because the Levy family is torn up. They've had no peace. And that, like that's something that an unsolved murder. I mean, I'm not saying it's ever better, but it is definitely better if you know what happened to your child and you were able, to be able to know exactly what happened. And until he does that, then he can talk about like forgiveness and going. But no, he's created so much havoc. He needs to fix that first. And that's how it is with these people that are like, in prison. Oh, I found God. I found the Bible. Anybody can. But not everybody can speak the truth. So anyway, I didn't mean to get preachy, you guys. But it's just like, I couldn't believe it. It's like, it's back around. And, it's funny because with heaven, with our intuition, numbers mean something. You have numbers, you have signs, um, the circle, the geometric shapes, all of that means something. And in this situation too, like when I saw, because I'd always heard from Chandra every so often, I would hear from her. And she's like, she would say, not yet. And then like kind of be gone. Um, but, and she's the one that said to me a long time ago, she goes, the circle has to be complete. And it's like, okay. And she's right. So now here we are. Time has passed. But so you guys asked for prayers that this finally, so the family can have some peace. Because that's just horrible. And the crazy thing too is nowadays with the internet and like all of the like what are they called? Like all of the detectives. Now people cannot get away with anything. So anyway, I am sorry for like this. Oh my gosh, because in the beginning I really did start on time, and because a couple people were coming in, and then like I said, my little neighbor knocked on the door and the dog went nuts, so I had to stop and start over. So I'm just hoping that something else isn't running in my place. Yeah, me and computers, not good. But thank you so much for joining me. Please, leave a comment. Again, if you'd like to schedule a session, you have any questions, feel free to send me a janiedaly@gmail.com. And on that note, have a wonderful evening. And I send you many, many angel blessings. And bring your friends. And next time, I'm going to definitely do Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Okay? So I look forward to you. And thank you so much for coming in. Have a good night. As my ex-husband would say, Kalanita. Oh my gosh. All right. And let's see. All right. Thank you.